Today, we're going to dive into the raw, unfiltered truth from two incredibly powerful speeches. One is all about the force that holds so many of us back, and the other, well, it's about the one thing that can really launch us forward: having the discipline to embrace failure.
So, let's just start with a question that cuts right through all the noise. I want you to take a really hard look at your life, right at this moment. Are you genuinely where you want to be? Or are you kind of just making excuses, always waiting for that perfect time that, let's be honest, is never going to come?
And here's a pretty brutal but honest point from the source material. Talent, ideas, opportunities, they don't mean a thing without discipline. Without it, you just stay weak, you stay stuck. And this isn't about finding motivation. This is about building the very foundation of any real achievement.
So this really sets up the fundamental conflict that's going on inside all of us, right? It's this daily battle between weakness and strength. It's a fight between two completely different mindsets. Let's break down what they actually look like.
And this, right here, lays out the two paths so clearly. The weak mindset is reactive. It waits for inspiration, it gets pushed around by feelings. But the strong mindset, it's proactive. It acts no matter how it feels. It's really the difference between being a passenger in your own life and being the one behind the wheel.
So why do so many of us get trapped in that weak mindset? Well, it's often not because the work itself is too hard. It's something much, much deeper. It's that paralyzing fear of failing, of looking stupid, of just not being good enough. And that brings us to the second core idea, which was just so brilliantly put by Denzel Washington. He basically takes the whole concept of failure and flips it completely on its head. He says it's not something you should avoid, it's something you have to do. Let's see how this idea builds.
I mean, what a powerful way to reframe things. Most people are told, have something to fall back on, right? A safety net. But Denzel says, if you're going to fall, you might as well fall forward. At least that way, you can learn from it, see what's coming next, and use it as momentum. Don't retreat back into what's safe.
And look, this isn't just some nice-sounding theory. Just look at the proof. We all remember Reggie Jackson for his massive home runs, not for the fact that he holds the all-time record for strikeouts. Or Denzel Washington. He bombed an audition in the very same theater where, 3 decades later, he'd win a Tony Award. You see, the failures weren't obstacles, they were actually the building blocks for their success.
Let's take another example. Thomas Edison. He conducted 1,000 failed experiments trying to invent a practical light bulb. 1,000 times he got it wrong.
But here's the whole point. Those 1,000 failures weren't a waste of time. Every single one was a crucial lesson, a piece of data that got him one step closer to the solution. The 1,001st attempt didn't happen in spite of all those failures, it happened because of them.
So what this all comes down to is a really direct challenge. If you are living a life where you never fail, are you truly pushing your own boundaries? Are you taking the kinds of risks that are necessary for real growth? This quote basically says that a lack of failure is a sign that you're just playing it way too small.
Okay, so if we can accept that failure is a necessary part of the process, then how in the world do we build the resilience to keep pushing through it? Well, that brings us right back to our first core concept. This is where the discipline mindset becomes your most powerful weapon. This quote from Mike Tyson is maybe one of the most powerful definitions of discipline I've ever heard. It's not about finding things you enjoy doing, it's about finding that inner strength to do the things that are necessary and to do them with excellence, especially when you don't feel like it. And you see this mindset in every single champion. Kobe didn't wake up at 4 a.m. because he was always feeling motivated. He did it because he knew it was what was required to be the absolute best. For guys like Goggins, Willink, and even the ancient samurai, discipline wasn't just some action they took. It was their identity. It was a non-negotiable part of who they were.
All right, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually apply it? How do you do it? Let's break it down into a practical, actionable plan that you can literally start using today.
So here's the 5-step plan. First, before you even start, just remove the option of quitting. The decision is already made. That frees you up from having that debate with yourself every single day. Second, don't try to boil the ocean. Start small. Maybe it's just waking up 10 minutes earlier tomorrow. The goal is consistency, because that builds momentum. Third, and this is huge, you have to separate your actions from your feelings. Your commitment is what drives you, not your mood. Fourth, lean into the struggle. That feeling of difficulty, that's not a signal to stop. That's the signal that you're actually growing. And finally, track it. What gets measured gets managed. You have to hold yourself accountable.
Think of it this way. You have to callous your mind. Just like your hands get tougher from hard work, your mind gets tougher from voluntary hardship. Take a cold shower. Go for a run when you least want to. This is mental strength training.
So, after looking at all this, it really just boils down to a simple choice. And it's a choice you have to make not just once, but every single day.
And here they are, the two paths laid out in front of you. You can keep going down the path of weakness, always waiting, always making excuses, just watching from the sidelines. Or you can choose the path of discipline, taking control, doing the work, and actively becoming the person you know you're capable of being. There really is no middle ground.
Denzel Washington puts this really haunting spin on this choice. He asks you to imagine that your unused ideas, your untapped talents, all your dreams, they're not just these abstract thoughts in your head. He says to imagine they are entities, and they're just waiting for you to give them life.
And that leads to this final, chilling question. When your time is up, are you going to be surrounded by the ghosts of the potential you never acted on? Ghosts who are disappointed that you never brought them to life? That's a powerful thought to end on, and it forces us all to ask, what choice will you make, starting right now?